Hello and welcome to CareerWise. Today we're focusing on trust and foundation schools, what they are and what they might mean for you. We visit two schools in Lincolnshire to find out more about foundation status.
We want independence. We want to do things for ourselves. We want to make our own decisions. We're prepared to take perhaps more risks.
To discuss this hot topic, we're joined in the studio by the Schools Commissioner, Sir Bruce Liddington, and ATL General Secretary, Mary Bousted. Then we travel to Tyneside to find out what one of the first trust schools might look like.
We have a very knowledgeable set of people, students, actually working for us, creating a digital environment for other students.
The Foundation Schools initiative has been around for some time, but in 2005 the DFES streamlined the route for schools wanting to acquire foundation status. Foundation schools are part of the four main types of state-funded mainstream schools, which also include voluntary aided schools, voluntary controlled schools and community schools. The main difference is that when a school acquires foundation status, it is largely run by the governing body rather than the LEA. The governing body is the employer of the staff and has control of pupil admissions if the school is oversubscribed. The school grounds are also owned by the governing body or a charitable foundation. This is all very well on paper, but what does it really mean for the school and staff? CareerWise headed for Lincolnshire to find out. Sir William Robertson High School near Lincoln became a foundation school in 1997. Prior to this, it had grant-maintained status.
It retains a lot of the flavour of the old grant-maintained schools, which is the ability to appoint your own staff, that you may commission services and so on. We have taken a decision to directly employ our cleaners and directly employ our catering staff, and in fact buy into a payroll that costs us less than if we were buying for local authority. So it gives us a freedom to operate more flexibly than community schools normally do.
Foundation schools also have the power to select which pupils they admit if the school is oversubscribed. On the other side of Lincoln, at William Farr School, head teacher Paul Strong doesn't select pupils, despite the school's foundation status.
This is a fully comprehensive school. There is no selection whatsoever by any form of academic attainment, by any form of interview, by any form of quota. The children in this school are from the full ability range, and our aim is to serve our local community.
Guinea pig's short hair is dominant to long hair. You got that?
For the staff, foundation status has had very little impact.
The biggest effect of being in a foundation school really is that there's been absolutely no change to me as a teacher in the classroom. Everything's gone on as normal. I teach my classes, the resources are the same. It really is something that I have to be reminded that that's what we are.
When Sir William Robertson School obtained foundation status, the staff were worried it might adversely affect their employment conditions.
It didn't change their terms and conditions. It has had no material effect on that. Other than periodically, I guess we've had some flexibility if we've decided that we wanted to promote people that little bit faster, we've been able to so do.
One of the main differences in a school with foundation status is the makeup of the governing body. Although the body still has parent governors, LEA governors and teacher governors, they are also allowed to assign foundation governors who can be used to benefit the school.
In our case, we have somebody who's an architect, and what he does is to support the school through health and safety inspections. And again, invaluable to have somebody in-house that can do that and has the expertise and the knowledge of buildings to give you a quality survey.
The governing body of William Farr, a Church of England school, is different again.
It has to have nominees from local parishes, nominees from what's called rather quaintly the Deanery Synod, and other nominees. So it does actually mean that the governing body is skewed towards a more positive attitude with regard to generating the Christian ethos of the school.
It's clear that Paul Strong enjoys the freedom that foundation status provides.
It's a state of mind which says that we want independence, we want to do things for ourselves, we want to make our own decisions, we're prepared to take perhaps more risks, and it's that little bit of freedom, if you like, that gives you the opportunity to perhaps go into areas where other more cautious people might be a little reluctant.
We've just seen what having foundation status is like at school level, but for the wider picture and to explore the new trust schools, we're joined by Sir Bruce Liddington and Mary Bousted. Mary, what concerns do you have for staff given this greater autonomy from local authorities that's developing?
As a union, we go in and we negotiate national terms and conditions for members across England and Wales. And what we're finding now is that with the message and the mantra which is going out to head teachers, which is of autonomy, independence, what's happening is we're getting increasing cases of head teachers simply thinking that they don't have to implement national terms and conditions. And a very worrying offspin about this actually is we're seeing an exponential rise in workplace bullying by managers of staff.
Bruce, I mean, can you relate to any of those concerns?
Well, I think the idea that head teachers have sometimes tried to push the envelope a little bit too far is not a new problem. Let me be very clear. Heads and governors of foundation schools and of trust schools, despite the rumours that are going around, are not allowed to drop out of the national pay and conditions of service in any way, is simply a non-runner.
What about the traditional antipathy towards the involvement of business and, dare we say it, capitalists?
I mean, we have no blanket objection to capitalists and business in being involved in schools. What we do have an objection to is that involvement, meaning that schools are taken out of local authority control. And we don't see why that needs to happen. We think there are equally good models where schools which are in the community, which are managed by the local authority, can forge very good relationships with business and with other forms of sponsorship. Trust schools are a solution in search of a problem. We don't know why they're created. Actually, there's no such thing as a trust school. It's actually a foundation school in law.
Well, it's a good point then to ask Bruce perhaps to distinguish between a foundation school and a trust school.
Well, foundation schools, and there are 800 or 900 of them now, mostly began as grant-maintained schools under the Conservatives' legislation, and a school that wants to take on a trust has to become a foundation school first. But let me be clear, a school doesn't become a trust school unless the governors want to take on the trust. The governors remain the body who employ the teachers and the support staff who work at the school. The governors are the people who attract the funding from the local authority. The governors are challenged by the local authority if standards go down, and the governors are accountable for the success of the school.
I'd just like to challenge Bruce, though, about the consultation, because we've been very interested in these 50 Trust Pathfinder schools. We haven't seen yet one of those pathfinders who've engaged in what we would call proper consultation with parents, with the community and with their own staff. And in fact, in one of the schools, the head teacher walked into the staff room and said, "We're going to become a trust pathfinder. This is a consultation. This is not democracy. This is what we're doing." The consultation arrangements for the establishment of these new forms of schools are unclear and ill-defined. And in fact, one of the key amendments in the Lords when the bill was passing through was to get these consultation arrangements properly tied down. Who do you consult with? How does the consultation take place? And this was resisted by the government as too bureaucratic. So I'm very, very concerned about what consultation means. Because if consultation just means consultation with a governing body amongst itself, then I don't think that's a proper democratic way for such a huge change to take place, for a school to be taken out of its local community, taken out of the local authority owning the land and the buildings, for the governance of the school to be so changed, and for the staff to be differently employed. And what we want, more than anything else now, is we want that consultation to be clearly understood and tied down.
Well, as Schools Commissioner, I have a vested interest in supporting what Mary said then, because one of the reports that I have to make to Parliament every 2 years is on fairness of access, and in particular on whether or not parents' views are being sought by schools and whether parents are happy with what the schools are providing for them. And anyone who is concerned about this sort of issue in a school can write to my office, and I will give the assurance that that concern will be seriously looked at.
Great. Well, listen, we look forward to having you both back for an update in about 12 months' time. Thanks very much indeed
Glad
for
to do
joining us.
that. Thanks very much indeed.
Okay. One school that is taking part in the Pathfinder project is Monkseaton Language College. So the CareerWise team got up at the crack of dawn to find out what trust status might mean for them. Monkseaton has already started to behave like a trust school, forging links with Microsoft and the Open University, creating a new foundation degree unique to the school.
Because students here can start degree modules at 16, it occurred to us some years ago that it ought to be possible to combine working in a state-of-the-art IT environment with academic progress to a degree in computing, and at the same time getting the professional qualifications from Microsoft and other companies that are a necessary part of a future in IT. And that was a germ of an idea that led to the foundation degree with the Open University and Microsoft qualifications that allows them to arrive at 21 with no debt, with a degree, with experience within IT and professional qualifications in a much better position than anyone else.
I joined Monkseaton High School from my middle school in year 9 just as a normal pupil, got IT A-level, and then I've just stayed on to complete the OU degree. So I was doing A-levels and the foundation degree at the same time.
As well as doing his degree, Andrew is employed by the school to help develop and maintain the school's Learning Gateway, a computer system designed to be used by both staff and students.
The online system that the students access is based on Microsoft SharePoint, which we've customised to use in the school. So basically the students will go on the home page where they can access the email. We've also got a student online, which allows the students to access all the subject sites, which say English have got their own website. They can have coursework, writing framed on there. They've got loads of different resources.
So we have a very knowledgeable set of people, students, actually working for us, creating a digital environment for other students. It's worked very well.
As these innovations develop at Monkseaton and the gap between business and education closes, Paul is looking to protect the school from any potential risks.
So a trust mechanism allows both sides to be absolutely certain where they stand and offer legal protection for both sides from the abuse either by school or business. So therefore it's a sound mechanism to make sure long-term partnerships can grow and flourish. Microsoft doesn't want to run this school, but it does want to work with education. And I see the opportunity for us to bridge the gap, if you like, between the formal education system and wider society in a way that benefits everybody.
Well, that's your lot for this episode of CareerWise. If you find yourself, though, in an advanced state of excitement and curiosity, you can find out more from our website. The address is www.teachers.tv. Thanks very much indeed to all the teachers and our guests for sharing their experience with us today. We'll see you again next time.